I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBN, we're diving into a bold reimagining of society. The name of the book we're talking about is called Manifesto, and it is written by a terrific author. His name is Delrio Mercier. It is a thought provoking work that combines history, philosophy, and spiritual reflection to chart humanity's path forward in a post COVID world. With rich insight into identity, community, and compassion, Manifesto challenges readers to rethink what it means to be human and live with greater intention and unity. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Del Rio, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Crawford.
This is a powerful book. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration to write Manifesto.
So currently I'm a poli-sci student. I'm actually in and out of different courses because I'm tailoring different degrees simultaneously. And just moving from San Diego to currently in San Francisco, it's not a really big political scene. So wanting to get into politics and become a politician, it kind of hit me as soon as I landed here and I was looking for, where I wanted to live, to write this book. And so I really just kind of wanted to touch on people's realistic look at the world because a lot of the way, even in school, we're taught a lot about, the downfall of politics and the downfall of governance. And, you know, really, when you look at the world, that's 100 years of what you see. And if you go anything beyond that in the past, we didn't have light, so for a
Yeah.
long time. So, I was very objectified to kind of be considered on, everything's falling when really, everything's blossoming. And so I wanted to kind of build a pathway to show people through the book how we got from where we were to where we are today through our cultural identities, through our, inventions of light and how AI is now the new thing in such a short amount of time, and how, labor and and religion were very much simpatico, and they, were possible like positions in which people could progress. They weren't, really staples like they are today. It was just somebody a way for somebody to gain capital, feed their family, but then also maintain being in the faith that they want to be a part of.
Yeah.
That was my inspiration.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Talk to us about how the pandemic acted as a turning point in your philosophy.
So pandemic, we again, there's a lot of talk, like the new normality and where do we go after COVID, and just being in class. I've been in school for 8 years, so being in school during COVID, and having to bunker down, it was like, oh great, I'm already doing that. So, I got a lot of more information, from what was happening politically and stuff like that. And it was, where do we go from here and how do we, progress from here? And it was just pretty much the same kind of things that I was seeing growing up in the 2000s. It was like, we have our elites, we have our wealthy, we have the people who are fighting at the bottom to get, sustainable respect and justice and laws. And, for me, it was like, well, if COVID is a restart and a new formation of a normality for us as a species, the best way to come about doing it is through respect. And I got the idea because when we were all bunkered down during COVID, and people couldn't go to work and people were arguing about, you can't do this and can't do that in the workplace. I would see my peers of my same kind of age who were like bag boys or bag girls at grocery stores, and nobody was harassing them, and everybody was just thanking them and being like, thank you so much and stuff like that. And for them, it's like, well, all I know is I need to get a job, I need to get money, I need to move out of my parents' house. And it's like for them, to gain that much respect, I was like, well, if everybody just treated each other in that same kind of nuance, that reverence, I respect you for what you do. I don't know your ins and outs of your daily life, but if I can just see you for what you do and just respect your position, then I think we can all kind of move forward in a better way, whether you be a politician or whether you work in a mine or what have you, just to have that little bit of respect to be like, you know what, you're doing your job great. Like somebody's doing it, somebody's helping me put food on my table and keeping equity in my pocket.
Hmm. Compassion is a central theme in your manifesto. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so compassion and solidarity is basically the Levolution kind of concept that comes from Manifesto. It's being able to love yourself to
Mhm.
the greatest extent, and how that is the solidarity is obviously yourself, but the compassion is the reflection that you have upon somebody else. So when you apply reverence, in your daily life, not just on a political platform, but when you apply it in your daily life, you get that reciprocation. You have to give it to yourself. Obviously, that's the solidarity part of it, but when you give it and you take it back, you get to go home and look at yourself in the mirror and be like, "Yep, I gave somebody some respect today. And yeah, that made me feel better about my life and my position and what I do day in and day out." So compassion, solidarity as it is very much so the movement on which, I want to kind of get into politics, understanding that you can take, because there's those blurred lines with state and religion. You can take reverence and you can apply it to how we create policies and how we create legislation for our people, and not so much the decree of power, capitalism. Those are all different types of tools that we can use and we can, play with, and we've always done that. But bringing compassion, solidarity, I guess, as an adjacent study to like self-governance, and utilizing reverence as the pinnacle of like that would ultimately create a more sustainable America and a sustainable country to be able to do what we know we're supposed to do, not necessarily just what we want to do.
Believe humanity is capable of real systemic change?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think if people read this book, I'm very dedicated to this book. I want to write other pieces similar to this book, but this is like my Bible. I want this book in everyone's households. I'm actually going to write a college version of it and a elementary version of it, because I think if people understand, again, everything you see, that's just 100 years. We've lived for 1.23 million years as Homo sapiens. If you go back even further, we lived at 1.68 billion years in our development, and that was without light. So, to
Mm.
be able to look at the world and say, like, yeah, this is just 100 years, and yeah, I'm blessed, and yes, I'm doing great. All of that's in the book, and all of that just kind of leaves on you to just reflect and be like, you know what, I'm doing okay. It might not be perfect and it might not be great all the time, but at least I know that where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be at, and where I want to go, I can get there. So yeah, I believe that people can, and I believe that this book can help support the cognizance and support the thought process of like, yeah, you're doing okay, and yeah, you can do it.
Absolutely. In what ways do you challenge traditional religious and economic structures?
I feel that trying so me as a politician, I'm actually very interested in neo-traditionalism, which is similar to traditionalism. The difference is neo-traditionalism is looking at certain things that we did in traditional governance or traditional politics, figure out what worked out best, and then reapply it. For instance, the 1990s and the 1950s were our greatest economical years. There's one year in particular, 1952 and 1991, which were the greatest economical year of those decades. If we figure out what we did and we reapply it today, we could possibly blossom from those avenues. So, with that being said, um, taking those same kind of concepts in reverence and looking at our past legislations and looking at our past policies, et cetera, even if it be in church, even if it be in economics, and look at like, okay, how do I respect the man basically the man as the wholly, us together as a unit, as the whole. But the man, basically the man I want to be or the woman I want to be, how do I take what I see from our records and reapply it with reverence and then sustain it with my perspective on what I believe as a legislator or as a politician in my compassion, solidarity, and figure out how to apply it. And that's what I mean when I say that I'm challenging it. I'm trying to get people, especially the younger generation of politics, to be more in their concepts of neoism and trying to figure out, how do we take what we already know and what we've learned and apply it versus just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Wonderful, wonderful. Which historical figures influenced your worldview most, would you say?
Uh, like really, the most strong points I would want to say is probably like right now, writing this is like Gandhi. Gandhi's perspective was just very much to just have a world kind of stop what they were doing, and him being more on the I guess the term would be like bodhisattva, is to be centered and then move as it allows itself to move. So I really just kind of want the world not necessarily to stop or slow down, but pick up a book and read and take that in and know that I'm also doing the same thing. And and we can pick this up and be it now, be it later, be it within 16 years from now, we can pick this up and start doing that for ourselves. And I think that the world as a whole can take from our example of applying this respect tool or structure within our governance and reciprocate it. And then, we're doing great again, like usual.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for the hard work on this book, the deep thinking that was involved in putting it out there for the public to understand, to digest, and to make part of their lives and their part of their humanity. The name of the book we've been talking about today is called Manifesto. It is an urgent and intellectual call to re-examine our past in order to rebuild our future with clarity, compassion, and purpose. Delrio, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
I
Good day.
appreciate your time, your insight, and your wisdom. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.